All right, air travel can be a chaotic experience, but it doesn't have to be. With over a decade of travel experience, our next guest, Brandon Blewitt, has mastered the art of staying calm, efficient, and productive throughout his travels. In his book, How to Avoid Strangers on Airplanes, he humorously dissects the quirks of frequent air travel, turning the challenges of airports into relatable lessons. Brandon, welcome to Great Day, Washington. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Well, humor is definitely something we should pack.
Yes.
When we start to travel.
Yes.
But what inspired you to write the book?
So 15 years of weekly air travel and witnessing very interesting human behaviors.
I'm sure.
And cataloging them so that it was, part of almost like a therapeutic endeavor, and it turned into a book, and was really excited to get it out there.
That's awesome. That's a great idea to write a book. Now tell me, what are some of the survival tips that you share for any traveler?
So I center the book on the 6 habits of highly annoying travelers, and then how do you deal with each of those, both in the airport and in your career. And I think that the biggest lesson with the habits is that sometimes we probably commit them ourselves, and one of the best ways to make air travel more enjoyable for everyone is to maybe refrain from some of those selfish behavior patterns.
Oh, I like that. We're not blaming. We're saying maybe we're doing that. Let's self-reflect. Okay. Can you name like one of those annoying behaviors?
I think the most common one that you see is probably gate lice. So people that you've got the boarding gate and they're just crowding around, even if they're in, say, group 6. I think that's one thing. It's just be a little patient, wait your turn. I know that everybody's a little anxious to get on and get their seats.
Oh gosh, have I done that? You're right. We've all done it. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about those inevitable delays and changes, cancellations. How do we deal with that?
I think the best thing to do is to have the app and have other apps like FlightAware that are travel adjacent. And the way that you can use those is you can look at your incoming aircraft. You can also look at, are there alternative flights? And when those things happen, if you go to an agent and you've done your homework, it's probably going to be a little bit easier for them to get on your flight rather than them looking at the line of passengers behind them and having to do all the homework on their end.
That makes sense. So kind of educate yourself. Don't just stand around trying to figure it out afterwards.
You always have homework, even after you finish school.
I like that. That's a good point. All right, let's talk about packing things. What are some essentials that you say people should pack to avoid some mishaps?
So I say that in your carry-on that you take on the plane, make sure you have your chargers. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people that can't fetch an Uber because their phone's died. I would also say pack snacks. A wise person once told me, you're not you when you're hungry. And my mom called it hangry when we were little kids. It's not a good look. So always have that, and you could probably save yourself some money given that airport concessions are a little bit more expensive. And then always pack a day's worth of toiletries, clothing, your medications, because if something does happen to your baggage, you'll at least be able to survive for the next couple days.
That's a great point. So have that handy, except make sure it's under, what is it, 3.3, we don't know, figure it out, but it's 3 point something ounces, right? You don't want to
your toiletries, yes.
The toiletries, yes. All right, do you have any fun travel stories that kind of underscore that importance of just being patient?
How much time do we have?
I know.
Yeah, I do. So it was interesting. A week ago, I was actually flying from Florida back to Dallas, and somebody in front of me decided to use the person in front of them, their armrest as an ottoman, and they looked like they were about to get in a little tiff. And we were already in the air. Did not want to divert, wanted to get home, so was just sort of like, hey, like let's keep this calm. And the flight attendant interjected. But you see a lot of interesting things like that when you're in the air a lot. Yeah,
we need to give those flight attendants more credit for things like that. Brandon, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. For more on Brandon, you can visit brandonblewitt.com.